Hey everyone, I hope you guys are doing good. Thank you so much for joining me. Today's reading is the person on your mind. How are they perceiving you at the moment? Maybe you're asking in general, um, but I am doing it specifically for the person on your mind. All right. So, how do they perceive you? We have three groups for you to choose from: group one, group two, and group three. Please feel free to pause the video if you do need some extra time to choose your group. But I will see you guys in your readings. Hey, welcome. If you've chosen the first group, then this reading could be for you. How does the person on your mind perceive you at the moment? So to start off with, we have the Devil in reverse, Queen of Pentacles in reverse, and the Ten of Swords upright. Okay. So it feels like the person you're asking about, they perceive you as letting go of toxic cycles, patterns, and behaviors. Maybe they feel like you've been in this process for a while. Maybe this is something that they've started to notice about you. Um, but they do see you as someone that's done the work, like the inner work and setting and learning boundaries. They see you trying to look at your flaws and not be impulsive, in general, and with some of the flaws that you might have. They do think you've experienced your fair share of tragedy and maybe recently gone through a difficult time, a heartbreak, but they do see you as recovering. They see you not being easily manipulated anymore, not easy to seduce. And they see you as learning to say no and having a lot more respect for yourself, but still learning to love yourself. They see you as thinking more clearly, or at least trying to be wiser. They perceive you as a mystery right now and, trying to rebuild in some capacity. For some, this is rebuilding trust after betrayal and keeping to yourself a lot more than you were before. They think that you're not able to move on from the past. And this doesn't really feel like where the person you're asking about is concerned, but to do with other areas of your life. They just feel like you aren't ready to move on and let those things go. They could feel like your past is still a strong part of you. It doesn't have to be in a like you don't. It doesn't have to be in a negative or a positive way. But they do see you as more spiritual now, still learning to be more in tune with yourself. In their perspective, they feel like you don't really know yourself yet. Like they don't feel like they kind of feel like you're still fluid in who you are and like trying to find yourself and all of that stuff. They think your life they think your life changed a lot. And this doesn't have to be recently. It could be, in the past as well, but they do think your life's changed a lot, like at some point or at a few different points in your life that things have changed in a significant way for you and made you rethink a lot of things. They see you as not wanting to be controlled anymore, but still wanting to be looked after and supported, but just not in, relationships or environments that are controlling. They also don't see you as afraid to challenge and go against some of the things that are considered normal. They don't think you're afraid to be who you are at this point in time. They do see you as neglecting your own needs for the sake of others or another. They perceive you as having been supportive of others to a detriment to yourself. And even though they see you as supportive, they don't necessarily perceive you as, the most nurturing. Like they do see you as scattered at times, but they do perceive you as social and, great in social situations. They see you as not utilizing your full potential. They think that you want to, but you may not know how. So they either think you give your trust to the wrong people, or they feel in some cases you're hesitant to trust. Maybe like yeah, like with some people you give your trust too quickly, with other people you are hesitant, and they could think you give your trust to the wrong people at times, or you have done in the past. But yeah, they perceive you as not emotional or less so than before. They think you're trying to prioritize your health and your well-being a little more, trying to improve your financial situation. This, for some of you, this may not be related to finances specifically. It could be, but they do think you're generally trying to rebuild in some way. So for some of you here, they could also think you care a little too much about appearance. They feel that you refuse to hit rock bottom, and they feel like you're always going to pick yourself up before that happens. Like they see you as still standing despite circumstances. And they also perceive you as open despite, you know, past drama and, carrying heavy emotions and baggage. But overall, like they do feel you're ready to start over, or they see you as starting over already. So moving on, we have you've been through some stuff. We have take a trip. We have aeroplane, spread your wings and fly. Express your true feelings. Progress, not perfection. And we have unconventionality. And I shall do these ones after. So with you are going through some stuff, like they do perceive you as going through something right now. And this doesn't necessarily have to be, something super heavy or like depressing or whatever. But they do think you're going through something, like whatever it is. It could be something good, but they do see you as being as like changing in some way. Now, with take a trip, they could either think you are currently taking a trip or currently taking a break from a certain area of your life or a certain person. And with unconventionality, they at the moment they could think you're quite conventional in some ways, right? But they also think that you're headed in a direction that is or will be unconventional and unique and different, just very different to what you're doing now. With express your true feelings, they think that you're needing to express your true feelings a lot more. And for some of you, this is specifically related to them. But they also think that, or they perceive you as someone that bottles up their feelings and they feel that you shouldn't do that moving forward. With spread your wings and fly. For some of you, they could think that you're currently traveling, planning to travel, or need to travel. But for others of you, they kind of just think that you need more freedom, or you're kind of, with the devil card being in reverse as well, kind of just seeking out more freedom for yourself. So, with progress, not perfection, that's how they perceive you right now. They perceive you as making progress. They don't feel that things are perfect, like foundation is perfect, like you're, perfect, or internally your life in some way. They don't feel like it's perfect, but they do perceive you as making progress. They do perceive you as making changes. They perceive you as someone that isn't comparing themselves to others, or maybe just doing it less, or trying not to compare themselves to others. And instead just trying to focus on the lessons you've learned and trying to incorporate that on your journey moving forward. Okay, so finally we have sensitive, we have sarcastic, we have smooth, conservative, and gentle. Okay, so with gentle, they perceive you as trying to be, or needing to be, a lot more gentle with yourself. With smooth, they perceive you as maybe not currently being on a smoother path, but they definitely see you headed in that direction. And with sensitive, it actually doesn't feel like they perceive you as sensitive. They could actually perceive you as not very sensitive. With sarcastic, only take this one if it makes sense. This doesn't really feel like it's for everyone here, but if any of you here are sarcastic, then that is how they perceive you. It feels like you'll know if that particular message is for you. And finally, with conservative, they may not perceive you as conservative, maybe traditional in some ways, but it doesn't feel like they perceive you as being all the way conservative, if that makes sense. But anyways, that is all. Wait, hold on. No, okay. So that is all I have for those of you who chose this group. I really do hope it can be helpful. I'm wishing you the best. Thank you for joining me, and hopefully, I'll see you guys again soon. Okay, please take care. Bye. Hey, welcome. If you've chosen the second group, then this reading could be for you. The person on your mind, how do they perceive you at the moment? Okay. So we have the Magician upright, Five of Cups in reverse, and the Ten of Pentacles also reverse. Okay, so how do they perceive you? All right, so first of all, it feels like they perceive you as someone they want to be closer to. They want to form a closer bond relationship with you, but it feels like they're currently unsure about you. They they do perceive you though as someone who can turn some of their ideas and some of their goals into reality, some of their fantasies into reality. They could feel like you're some sort of key for them manifesting certain things into their life. Um, but yeah, they perceive you as being busier than usual. They also think you don't want to be led or controlled. They think it would be hard to control you because you have a lot of control over yourself and your affairs. And they do perceive you as creative and they think that you have a lot of good ideas. They see you as a natural leader, very charming, but they do think you should have a lot more confidence than you currently have, or than or like more confidence than they perceive you as having, you know, whether that's their perception is correct or not. But they do perceive you as someone who should be a lot more self assured in themselves. But they see you as very intentional, both with them and other people and the other areas of your life. They think you're great at problem solving, that you're adaptable, and they also perceive you as currently doing very well for yourself. They think you're always learning and evolving. They perceive you as resilient, for some of you specifically emotionally resilient. They perceive you as honest and true to yourself. They don't think you're one to hold on to grief, and that you might be open to new emotional experiences and something new with them, or for some of you, a reset with them, depending on your relationship so far. So they also perceive you as emotionally aware, someone who's forgiving and compassionate. They could think you're still processing a loss or still trying to release emotional baggage, or they perceive you as rebuilding emotionally. Like they do feel you've been through a lot of adversity, but still carry yourself beautifully, and you still seem hopeful in their perspective. And they also feel that you've grown a lot through this adversity or any adversity that you have experienced. So they are perceiving you as a lot more grounded than they had originally thought. They perceive you as not very traditional and unconventional. They do see you as materialistic, though. This doesn't have to be like in a negative way, of course. They feel that you look good, you like to take care of yourself, to like to take care of your appearance. Like they see you as successful and or rebuilding financially, or they just see you as reassessing in general. And they also see you as someone that's had to restart, like start over, more than once throughout their life. And even though they view you as successful, they don't think you define yourself by status, or you don't define other people by status. Like, and they do think you are just very authentic and genuine. They could also see you as breaking some patterns within your family, generationally, even. They think you aren't one to follow along with things that could be considered more normal. And it feels like in general they perceive you as quite unique, actually. And even though they see you as successful, they could also think that you're still working on your foundation and creating one that is extremely solid. Okay, so now we have get over yourself, pull your stuff together, And on the back, it says help people, give back, do good stuff for humanity. We also have stop obsessing. We have ocean, go with the flow. We have party, celebrate yourself. Busy times and multitasking, sensitive emotions. And I'll read these ones after. So with get yourself together, pull your stuff together. On the back it says do something good, give back to humanity, and that's how they perceive you. They perceive you as giving back in some way, in whatever way that is. They do perceive you as someone who's generous. With stop obsessing, they actually perceive you as not obsessing over them anymore. For some of you, if this is not an anymore kind of situation, then they perceive you as someone that wouldn't obsess over them, or you just don't think about them too much. With busy times and multitasking, they do perceive you as quite busy at the moment. I think I may have said that earlier in the reading. Um, but they also, so it says take charge of your schedule during this busy time and honestly assess your reasons for being so busy. But they do perceive you as someone that does take charge of, their life, their responsibilities, their affairs, themselves. For some of you, they could perceive you as a good multitasker as well. For some of you, they could also perceive you as a jack of all trades, like you're quite skilled in a lot of different areas. So with go with the flow, they perceive you as wanting to go with the flow with them, or that you'll just prefer to go with the flow and that you're not really thinking too far ahead into the future where they're concerned. They don't really necessarily think you go with the flow in general. Like again, like they do think you're quite focused and like, you know what you want, know what you're going after. So yeah, they don't think you're kind of wishy-washy in like your life and in your responsibilities, but they don't really think you've settled on a decision or a path where they're concerned. And with party, celebrate yourself. They do think that at some point in the near future, you will be celebrating something, celebrating um, yourself in some way. So they do perceive you as quite sensitive. This doesn't need to be like emotional kind of sensitive, but just emotionally aware, emotionally in tune. So for some of you, they could actually perceive you being in a state of heightened emotions right now. Again, doesn't have to be like a sad way. But yeah. And finally, we have outspoken, we have neat, resentful, sensitive, again, and crazy. So they perceive you as neat, tidy, also in like a classy way. They perceive you as outspoken. For some of you, they do perceive you as having a crazy side. And not only do they perceive you as sensitive and like an emotionally aware way, but they also perceive you as like spiritually sensitive, intuitively sensitive. And finally, with resentful, they do see you as someone that they're not resentful towards now, but they do feel that it might go in that direction, especially if they don't manifest what they want to manifest with you. But that is all I have for those of you who chose the second group. I really do hope it could be helpful. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you guys again soon. Okay, please take care of yourselves. Bye. Hey, welcome. If you've chosen the third group, then this reading could it be for you, the person on your mind. How are they perceiving you at the moment? So, to start off, we have the King of Swords reversed, Nine of Wands in reverse, Five of Wands also in reverse. Okay, so please only take the following messages if they make sense for your situation and the person you're asking about. Even if you don't agree with that perception on you, maybe you might understand why they might perceive you that way, or you might reject it completely. Um, but yeah, please only take what makes sense. So, for those of you who chose this group, the person you're thinking about, they could perceive you as very intelligent, but they could feel that you use that intelligence to hurt them or belittle them or other people, or it just comes across that way. They do think you have a sharp mind, but they also think you can be cold. They perceive you as being selectively transparent, like they don't feel you're dishonest necessarily, but they don't think you're completely honest either. Like, again, like they just think you're selective when it comes to that. They do think you keep emotions locked away, that you avoid vulnerability. They could think you prefer deep and or intellectual conversations. So they do think you can be deep. It's just not with everyone and not in every situation, you know. Again, like maybe they perceive you as selective in this way as well. So they could also think that you are hard to approach and at times intimidating, whether that is to them or others. They could perceive you as kind of cruel for some of you guys. They think you're quick to spot flaws in them or other people, but don't really consider your own. They could see you as manipulative or controlling at times and just someone who can be calculated, and they often, you know, they perceive you as being a couple of steps ahead of them or other people, you know, like again, like they think you just have a really quick and sharp mind. But again, like sometimes they feel like you don't use that in the fairest way in their perspective. So it also feels like they don't like being in disagreements with you, or they just wouldn't want to be in a disagreement with you. They think that you care more about being right than understanding or being understood. They also perceive you as quite competitive. They do perceive you as a lone wolf. They could perceive you as currently feeling lonely. Um, for some of you, they could perceive you as not having many burdens right now. They don't necessarily perceive you as overly guarded all the time, you know, in general, but they do view you as very guarded when it comes to specific things. But in general, they do think your walls are quite high. Again, like this could be with certain people and in certain environments. So yeah, they could actually think you're defensive, even when like no one's attacking you, even when there's no cause to be defensive from their perspective. Like they do think you hate being challenged, and they do think you can have a very pessimistic mindset at times as well. They do perceive you as wary of new connections, that you don't trust easily, that you're wary of kindness and generosity as well. They do see you as carrying a lot of emotional baggage. They also perceive you as emotionally resilient. They do see something about you being very masculine as well. Again, not masculine in general, just when it comes to something specific, whether that's, dress sense, whether that's the way you talk, where you carry yourself, in relationships, or whatever it might be. But in some way, they do perceive you as quite masculine. Um, but yeah, they can also think that you sometimes internalize other people's problems and drama. They do perceive you as feeling misunderstood, or they just see you as being misunderstood, whether that's, with them and or with other people. Okay, so moving on, we have you need some yoga in your life. We also have whatever you're thinking about, don't do it. Box, reveal your true power. We also have child, give yourself permission to play. We have prosperity. We also have revealing your true self, and I will read these ones after. So, with you need some yoga in your life, they perceive you as someone that just needs to relax a bit more. Like for some of you, they could perceive you as being on edge, again, like defensive, walls up, and they just feel that, in their perspective, that you need to like relax. And with prosperity, they could perceive you as maybe blocking your own prosperity in some way. Like they could perceive you as like blocking good things happening for you. With box, they could perceive you as putting your own self within a box. And with child, give yourself permission to play. They perceive you as again like needing to lighten up, needing to not take certain things so seriously. So with revealing your true self, like they do perceive you as like they feel like they're seeing the real you. Maybe in the past they didn't feel like they were seeing the complete picture, but now they feel like they are, even if they're wrong in their perception of you. And with whatever you're thinking about, don't do it. They think that they need to tread carefully with you, that they need to think about their next move, where you're concerned. And for some of you, they could feel like they need to hold back with you until they're more decisive or until they have more clarity on your situation or what they should do. So, moving on, we have disrespectful, we have intelligent, we have questioning, we have decisive, and independent. So, they do perceive you as intelligent, as you've been saying throughout this whole reading. So yeah, they do perceive you as very intelligent. They do perceive you as decisive for the most part. They see you as independent. And with questioning, it feels like they perceive you as they think that you make other people feel like you're questioning them, like what they say, like you don't believe what they say, or like you doubt what comes out of people's mouths. Like they could feel like you know, have that kind of impact on them or other people. And finally, with disrespectful, for some of you, they do perceive you as maybe a little bit disrespectful at times. And this may not be with people in general, this could be about them specifically for most of you here. But that is all I have for those of you who chose this group. I really do hope it could be helpful, and I'm wishing you the best. Thank you for joining me, and hopefully, I'll see you guys again soon. Okay, please take care of yourselves. Bye.